Whenever you are working on business process improvement, you need to ensure you have a great strategy or plan to make sure all the pieces are accounted for and happen the way that you intend. One of the best ways to think about your strategy and the components that it must have is the SMART acronym, where your project has specific targets, measurable, it's attainable, realistic, and it's timely. Your project should not be missing in any of those areas, and you should also have documentation to prove out to others, not just in your mind, how your project will be smart for you and smart for your organization. There's a few other considerations that I'd like to go over with you quickly, just to be sure that we have everything in place and you're ready to start rocking and rolling. The first one covers documentation. Have you outlined the project and have you outlined the stakeholders and what this project aims to achieve and for who? Although this may be unsaid, documenting these pieces are much better to help you communicate your project and to ensure success sticks after you put your solution into place. The second piece is that your project should also have a list of requirements and objectives. Just saying that you want to make a process quicker isn't quite specific enough for business leaders to support you. So you want to be specific about what you plan to achieve here. The third step is to ensure that you have a project scope statement. Whenever you work on projects, there's always a chance of project scope creep, where the project starts small but starts to grow in different ways, and before you know it, it's too big to manage. So if you can describe what the scope of your business process improvement initiative is, that's going to be a great piece of information to have and share with others. You also want to list out your deliverables and your due dates. You want to tell people what you're trying to achieve and by when they can expect it. You also want to have a project schedule that's relatively detailed. You may have your problem statement here and your ideal future here, but those two pieces need to have a way to come together. And that's what a project schedule does. It gets us from A to B to C instead of A to Z, and that makes a project seem a lot more realistic and attainable. You will also want to have a risk assessment and mitigation plan. No project is without risk, no matter how minor, so you want to really show others you've thought out your approach here and list down what could go right and how you're planning to counteract that. The seventh piece is to have defined roles and responsibilities in your project. We discussed before the different stakeholders, whether the process owners or the people who do the work or supervisors. If someone's involved with the process, they need to be accounted for, and their specific roles must be described in enough detail to capture exactly the key points. 8 is resource allocation. Every project needs resources in one form or another. If it's not money, then you're using people's time, which is money. So you want to be clear about who you're expecting to help with the project, any sort of training materials you need or other tools. Itemize them and estimate the cost the best you can. Number 9 is your quality plan. You want to document what the considerations are that you've thought through to ensure that this process improvement will meet the expectations that you have in mind, and then how it will align with the rest of the organization. And number 10 is communication. As we've explained several times before in this course, communication is so critical to ensuring that your project idea turns into a real solution instead of a pipe dream. You want to ensure that everyone has heard about what you're working on as necessary and that you're consistent and clear. And as you make progress, you're letting people know what you're doing and how you're progressing and the achievements you've recognized. You want to over-communicate if possible. No one ever comes at you and yells if you over-communicate, but if you under-communicate, that'll be a real challenge.